And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the launch of my manifesto. We will do something about the lighting so you can see me properly. But for now, I would like to introduce my dear friend, David Benson. David has known me for a very long time. He has known me as being an annoying colleague, but also a supportive friend. And I wanted him to introduce me, but also share some insights into who I am and why I believe in young people, but also the power of entrepreneurship. So I would like to introduce David Benson to come and join us. Thank you.
No problem. Good afternoon, everyone. It's absolute privilege to be invited here today to introduce Natalie and to endorse her campaign for London Mayor. I've spent more than 20 years working in London schools as a teacher and as a school leader, and 10 of those 20 years were as the principal of Kensington Aldridge Academy, which is a school that many of you will know because it's located immediately next to Grenfell Tower. So anytime you saw a picture of Grenfell during the tragedy, there's a school just next door, and that was the school that I was privileged to run for 10 years. And actually, Natalie, as she says, she and I know each other well, but we got to know each other particularly well through that period around Grenfell, and she was, like a lot of people locally, heavily involved in the community recovery effort. So I know something about working in London schools and leading London schools, and the reality is that if you speak to anyone involved in London education now, whether they're a teaching assistant or a mentor or a classroom teacher or a head teacher, they will tell you that it's never been more challenging to work in London state schools than it is right now. And that, I think, is a real shame. And it's paradoxical to me that, having spent 10 years as a London head, the hardest of those years were the final few years as we were responding to COVID and cost of living crises and all the other pressures which are making it harder and harder to deliver a great education in London. And I think that picture about the challenges that London schools face is common across the public sector. So if you speak to people who work at social services or the police or health, housing, whatever it might be, people will tell you that actually it's a really, really tough time. So London needs to work better. It must work better. And it is a city that is full of talent and potential, as we all know, but also a city that is a place of real dysfunction, I think, in some areas, and of real challenge. And does anyone seriously believe that more of the same, so more career politicians in charge, is the answer? I don't think so. And in Natalie, we have someone who is a highly successful entrepreneur and businesswoman in her own right, who's someone who is a leader, someone who is incredibly competent and pragmatic and delivers and gets things done, and someone who is a brilliant communicator, someone who is a CEO. And I am very confident that as CEO of London, she would deliver the kind of improvement that we sorely need. So, vote Natalie is what I would say. And you will start to see some of the things that I've seen in terms of her impact and the way that she makes the world a better place in everything she does.
Thank you, David. Thank you. It was important for me to ask David to introduce me, partly because of the story he shared, but education and young people sits at the heart of London working well. And having someone with David's record in education, someone that, like David, who really has been at the heart of a community that has faced significant challenges, but also a principal who knows what good looks like, endorse me and say that I'm the person for London means a lot. And so I'd just like to take you through some of the elements of the manifesto. And I'd like to start with where we are right now. We have 24 days to win London. That's 24 days to secure 1.5 million votes. And people keep saying, well, why are you focusing on 1.5 million votes? 58% of Londoners didn't vote in the last election. Now, that's circa 3.9 million people. I only need half of the people that have never voted to show up and vote on election day. Londoners have 24 days to say that we believe in a different type of politics. Londoners have an opportunity to say that you don't want to continue to vote for the lesser of two evils anymore. It's not a two-horse race. There are 13 candidates and a first-past-the-post system that means the person with the most votes wins. And I hope on May 2nd, that person is me. So before I get into the manifesto detail, I want to take some time to explain why I'm running. I love London. Some of you have seen me dancing, showing how much I love and enjoy London. But London has lost its vibe and it's lost its thing. London feels hard, as David said. And for some people, it feels easier to leave than to believe things can be better. Anyone that saw my posts over the weekend will have noted my day one priority of ending the use of strip search in schools. The child queue case sits at the heart of my personal motivation. At 15, so much of how I saw myself came together. The thought of a child having hope taken away from them fills me with sadness, but also rage. It's with this energy that I channel everything I need to keep going. It's with the energy of making things right, 15-year-old girls for child queue, that I avoid throwing my phone out the window when social media is driving me crazy. Any mayor that allows a child to lose hope because they are looking the other way and sitting on their hands is not a mayor that deserves to be in power. Any mayor that says, I can't change this thing because they won't let me, is not a mayor that deserves to be in power. Any mayor that focuses on their own popularity and playing party politics is not a mayor that deserves to be in power. Londoners, let's make it clear on May 2nd that enough is enough. Please use your vote to send a very loud message to all political leaders to say, you should serve the people first, not your party, or we'll vote you out. So I'll get off my soapbox now and move on to what you will get with me as your next Mayor of London. So the first thing you'll get is a mayor that actively listens. Before I created the video manifestos that you'll find on the YouTube channel, I asked you what you wanted. I asked in the What London Wants survey, and the survey is still live on the website for anyone that hasn't filled it out. And you said this. You told me that you want good homes, that you want safe streets, and you want real opportunities to live better lives. But anyone could promise those three things. So I added what I bring to those three elements. So I will bring good homes, but I will also deliver happy neighborhoods. I will bring safe streets, but make sure it's delivered through having local police. I will give you better lives, but I will focus on doing it through well communities. This is what your X next to my name on the 2nd of May will deliver for you. It will deliver for your families. It will deliver for your friends. And I will do all of this in my first 4 years as your next Mayor of London. We can deliver things quickly when there's political will. So a brief word on each area. Under Good Homes, I'm committed to creating 2 new mayoral development corporations with a focus on sustainable build-to-rent properties. I live in a build-to-rent. I'm road testing the very policy that I will deliver. Why am I focusing on build-to-rent? Well, it creates market competitiveness to the benefit of renters. We can have rent controls, sure, but it's really hard to deliver rent controls in a predominantly private market. But if we build to rent properties that will never be sold, that are solely there for renters, we can make a difference. Rents in these developments will be means tested to your income and capped at a maximum of 40%. This isn't new, this is already being done. I will also match the Mayor's pledge to build 40,000 homes by 2030. Revisions will need to be made to the Metropolitan Greenbelt policy in the current London plan to reclassify land so more homes are built in the right places. I want the right homes in the right places. It's not just a case of more, more, more. I want to build neighbourhoods, not just buildings. Over the weekend, I spoke to residents in Southall that have said the new developments there have created so many health pressures, including diminishing the quality of air. We can't build homes and then have communities and families and neighbourhoods suffering as a result. The big thing that I want to share with you under Good Homes is my drive to end youth homelessness. Some people have asked why I'm focusing on young people, and that's because I want to deliver at the preventative end. So in my first 4 years, I will end youth homelessness in London. There are models for how this can be delivered when you talk to Centrepoint and Crisis and the New Horizons Youth Centre. The plans are there. It requires political will to make it happen. To fund this programme of work, I will create a new tourist levy, a good night's sleep for a good night's sleep. Any tourist staying in one of London's 200,000 hotel rooms will pay a small amount to ensure that someone else has a good warm bed to sleep in. Is that too much to ask? Surely not. A city and a mayor that doesn't look after and love on its young people is a cold, mean city, and that is not what I stand for. I'm going to move on to safe streets and local police. I will have a laser focus on mending the fractured trust between the Met Police and communities. The Mayor cannot play ignorant with this responsibility. My goal is to reconnect the Metropolitan Police to the communities that they serve. So how will I do this? I will open 320 new neighbourhood centres on high streets. There'll be 1,300 police officers based on your high street, not 5, 6 or 7 miles away, on your high street. They'll be back on the beat and back on streets. We have empty shops on high streets up and over London. That need not be the case. I will reallocate parts of the Met Police budget to establish more services and centres for young people, tackling crime at its root through community and family partnership. I will focus on prevention. I will focus on mental health, and I will focus on trauma support. We know that this requires a public health approach. Families, community leaders have been saying this for years and they haven't been listened to. Seeing violent acts has a ripple effect. I will call for tech companies to add warnings and block videos showing serious acts of violence like they do pornography. This is a slight tangential point, and it's not just related to knife crime, it's related to trauma happening anywhere in the capital. I want to keep Londoners alive. I spoke to Air London Ambulance and we had a detailed conversation on what they need to make sure that any Londoner that is in a moment of crisis and trauma stays alive. And they said the one thing that you can do that would make a massive difference is have bleed control kits in more accessible places. And that's what I'll do. I will make sure that we have bleed control kits in gyms, taxis, schools, colleges and libraries. And life-saving training will be given where possible. If we can have these kits locally to hand, regardless of what happens, then we can save Londoners' lives. On well communities and better lives, this is an all-encompassing area. So I'm going to break it down into some of the areas that I know you're interested in. On travel, I will demand that the government finish the HS2 line into Euston and underwrite the costs in lieu of any private sector investment. We know that it will take a long time to establish any investment, and to kick the can down the road just isn't good enough. I'm also committed to reviewing the Baker Line extension linking South East London to the Tube network by extending it from Elephant and Castle to Lewisham and potentially beyond. If the work doesn't start now, it will never happen. The transport system is not equitable north, south, east to west. That is unfair. Any mayor that says they're delivering a fairer London isn't, if they do not look at the Baker Line extension seriously. A bus route that could have started 8 years ago is not a long-term solution. I will also speed up accessibility access on all TfL stations and lines and provide clear signage for toilets, adding toilet capacity where possible. This is really important for so many people across communities that don't have what they need to access the TfL network. I will reinstate 30 mph speed limits on TfL roads. Now, over the weekend, lots of people said, why would you do this? And I want to make it clear, on TfL roads, not residential roads, not around schools. The roads that I'm talking about are Park Lane and the Euston Road. The reason that I'm doing this is that it will alleviate traffic congestion and reduce stored vehicle emissions. The speed reductions currently imposed are not about safety. It's a revenue generation tool. It's unfair, and I do not like unfairness. Cabbies, I spent a lot of time talking to all of you. You're pissed off, and rightly so. I want to help an important part of the fabric of London and cabbies as small business owners. So I will offer interest-free loans to all taxi drivers, all black taxi drivers, so they can get new EV cabs. And I will diversify the options available beyond the single expensive £100,000 choice they currently have. I've also been speaking to cyclists and pedestrians, and I will require every motorised bike to be registered and insured with a road safe assurance certificate for the rider and the owner. I will ask cyclists not to cycle with headphones in, and I will launch a campaign to bring back the knowledge of the importance of wearing helmets. This has been something that cyclists have expressed a desire and a need to happen, but also pedestrians. On ULEZ, I will review the cost benefit of removing ULEZ in Outer London. This has been a huge topic in the What London Wants survey. I hear you, lots of people want it gone. It is a working class tax, but I need to understand the finances of TfL and the GLA in more detail before I can commit to doing so. I will not do it if it means reducing budgets that go towards free school meals, for example. Whilst the review is in place, I will ensure that any essential worker will be given a refund, but also an exemption. Ideally, this review will take 6 months, and if at the end of the 6 months we can make it work financially, I will cancel ULEZ. But only a fool would commit to cancelling before they have the full information. Now to my entrepreneurs, freelancers, and small business owners, you have my unwavering support. For Londoners in the independent hospitality and retail sectors, I can draw from my own experiences of running a business. It's hard, but I've got your back. I will use the procurement power of the GLA to champion local businesses, social businesses, and small businesses. To the environment, I'm a fan of national park cities, but we can do better and we can invest more. I will launch a nationwide drive for 5,000 new rangers that will be tasked with greening neighbourhoods and increasing participation in outdoor activities. Anyone that has spent time outdoors, good time outdoors, knows just how much it contributes to your wellness, to your connection with the environment around you. I will protect allotment spaces. They should not be privatised. They are for community benefit. I visited a number of allotments recently, and the one thing they've said is, we're putting all of this energy in, but the council could take this space away from us at any time. It's a space that we've been able to grow food for our communities, but also come together and just breathe. We need to protect that. I will launch fines for Thames Water if any sewage or waste is found in London canals or waterways. I will use this revenue to restore and rewild the London Canal network. Anyone that knows what I do by day knows that I'm a woman that loves water. London goes beyond our parks and green spaces. It goes to the very fabric of what flows underneath London, and that is water. This is just a taster of what my tenure as Mayor of London will look like. So it's important to say that the things that I've said will not be possible without taking a low ego approach to building relationships with any government and any local authority of any colour or coalition of colours. To set an example, I will offer a deputy mayor role to the Green Party. The Green Party representative will sit next to me and act as a representative for the environment and climate resilience in London. I want everyone to take that in for a minute. We're going beyond party politics and party lines. I will have a Green Party member as my Deputy Mayor of London. Green voters, if you really want to see the Green Party in power, I will make it happen. And finally, to the arts. The arts are underloved in London, and they are a key part of what gives London its vibe and its energy. So I will establish a London Laureates programme, providing a platform for artistic expression that encapsulates this city's heritage and culture. We have played down our creative industries for far too long, and with me as mayor, I will put us back on the map. We can rival Paris, New York, and other cities vying for the creative crown. We've lost it recently, but we can absolutely get it back. As I've said, this is just a flavour of what me as Mayor of London will bring. So on May 2nd, I'm inviting you to vote for me to be your next Mayor of London. Thanking you in advance. I know we can do this. Now I'd like to introduce my younger brother, Jordan Campbell, to share a few words about me. And if he says anything other than me being fabulous, don't believe him. Jordan.
Sorry. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening in. I've lived in London, obviously, my entire life, so I know London very well. And more importantly, I know my sister very well.
You should do.
I know my sister very well. And in this current climate of London and how we're living, I think we all share similarities amongst how we find our experience. So I know growing up, some of my concerns may have been around my safety. I know growing up, some of my concerns may have been about job opportunities. And being a citizen within London, I find that we all are sharing similar thoughts and questions around our safety. I think we all think about, is there opportunities that are open to us all? And I think my sister understands that better than anyone else. Being able to connect myself and also award-winning Principal David and Benson in the same room is just an example of how well she can bring different people from different walks of life together. And I think her taking this role and responsibility across London is something that sits and resonates with her as a person and suits her role and just the qualities which she possesses quite easily. So I don't want to ramble on and say too much, but I do feel like this is something exciting. I think someone like me that hasn't been someone that's committed to voting, I definitely want to vote to see a change. And I feel like the vote that I would put forward now will actually meet my direct needs as a citizen in London. So I want to thank everyone for joining this live and thank you for this opportunity to speak.
And now we'll bring the live stream to a close. Thank you everyone for joining, whether you joined on the live stream or you joined on LinkedIn Live or you joined through someone else's live or video. We'll be doing more of these events, but I really wanted to share in the immediate moment what I will do and what I will deliver for London. So happy Monday, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Bye.